Hello and welcome to this webinar. Our topic today is about tips for working from home. ELO as an information platform. Just quickly before I hand over to my colleague, there are some short important information. As usual, we've muted all of you, but of course you can always ask your questions by entering in the question area in your GoToWebinar control panel. My colleague will of course answer your questions at the end of the presentation. That's now basically all from my part, and we can start with the webinar session. So I hand over to my colleague Edgar Grassel. Welcome Edgar, it's your turn.
Thank you and welcome from Austria. My name is Edgar Grasl. I work for ELO Digital Office in Austria, and in our webinar series, Tips for Working from Home, I'll show you today how we use ELO as an information platform. So when you thought we in Austria, we only do yodeling in the mountains, that's wrong. We go to work as well. And we have offices and we have some sort of industry where we go every day. But 2 weeks ago, I think it's 2 weeks ago, our government said that we should stay at home. No, they said we have to stay at home. So we had to change something. On the one side, we had to change the location from where we work. We now had to work from home. And on the other hand, we had to change the way that we work. And this is how we did it. So normally when you work in your office, you have your own place, you have your desk where you can sit, and maybe you have your own room where you can do your work, and you have the tools that you need to work. You can send emails, you can access your data, you have access to your files, you can make phone calls, you can join some meetings, and you can talk to your colleagues. So when I meet a colleague at the coffee machine, I can ask him, how was the meeting last week? And is there any important information for me? And as an example, we in Austria, we are 10 people. So in Austria, there are 8 million people, but only 10 of them work for ELO. But normally we sit in the same place in our office, and we use our tools that we have, and we talk, and we have meetings and so on. But as I said 2 weeks ago, the situation changed. On Monday, or I think it was Sunday, government said that we should, where it is possible, work from home. We thought that this would come. So on Friday, everybody took his notebook. We are 10 people, everybody has a notebook, and they took it with them and they had it at home so they could start working from home. But suddenly the team wasn't in one location. They were in 10 different locations, and we had some issues that we had to fix. The first thing we had to do was find a place at home where you can work. It's not possible, or it's not possible for everybody to have an own room where he can sit, but you have to, because it's not good when you're sitting on your dining table. Your own daughter sits opposite of you and makes the homework because she can't go to school as well. And your wife stands beside her and explains her something while you're in a meeting or while you're making a call. So you have to find a place where you can work, where it is quiet and where you don't get disturbed every 3 minutes or so. The next thing, the notebooks we had all with us. The next thing is you have to have access to the internet, but in Austria it's possible to access the internet. So this wasn't a problem as well. As we use our mail server in the cloud, we were able to access our emails because it's not important where you are, you have access to your email account from everywhere. The first problem we had was only 7 of 10 of us do have smartphones. Our 3 ladies in the back office, they don't have smartphones because they don't need it. They use the normal phones. And so we had to find a way where we could communicate with them. And we found the solution with Microsoft Teams. We use Microsoft Teams not only for talking to our colleagues, we use it for meetings as well, and we use it as a group chat. Or team chat. There's a team chat in Microsoft Teams where everybody can send a message and the other ones can read it. And a funny side of this team chat is when this happened 2 times, when someone accidentally calls the whole team, then everybody's in a call and nobody knows what to do. Happened 2 times, was funny. The next thing was how can we access our internal ELO and our CRM system. This was made via a VPN connection, so everybody has the tools that he or she needs to do his work. We can send emails, we can make calls, we can make meetings, we can access our data, and we can access our files. The only thing what is missing, we can't or we don't meet our colleagues at the coffee machine. The only person I meet at the coffee machine is my own wife, but she can't tell me something about the meeting last week because she doesn't know. But that's not a problem. We have smartphones and we have Teams. So we are able to work from home. We have our own place, we have our tools, we have our coffee. But on the other hand, as I said, government said to everyone, stay at home and work from home. I am not alone when I'm working at home. My wife works from home as well. And she works in a bank. She works in the marketing department. And as a bank, it's not so easy to access the internal system or the internal systems when you sit in your home office. So she's not able to access her files. She's not able to access the SAP. She's not able to join some meetings, and she's not able to talk to her colleagues. She only is able to send and receive emails and to make some calls via her mobile phone. But thankfully, people are creative. They found their way how they could do their work without accessing the systems they needed. So they started to send data via email. There are some Excel files which they send when the files are too big. They share it via Dropbox. They use a tool, a free tool. I don't think it's Microsoft Teams. It's something, some other stuff which they use, which runs in the cloud. All those systems don't run in the bank. They run somewhere else. The Dropbox accounts they use, or Google Drive or OneDrive, are the privately owned ones because the bank says no, we don't need Dropbox, but they have to share bigger files. So that's a sort of problem. That's the first consequence out of this. The amount of emails and the size of the emails sent and received increases because they share files via email. They send emails in cases where they would have talked to each other. Now they can't, so they have to. And so the amount or the number of the emails and the size of the emails increases. The next consequence, and that's, I think, a bigger problem, is normally the data, the files, and so on, all lie in the central IT. But now they aren't anymore. I give you an example. My wife had to do a brochure about some insurance, I think, last week. What did she do? She called a colleague who sat in the office and asked him to send her the file. He sent her the file via Dropbox because the file was too big. The file size was too big to send via email. So he took his private Dropbox account and put it in there. She downloaded this file, uploaded it again, sent an email. The colleague said, no, change this, that, and so on. There were, I think, 5 to 6 emails, and there were 4 to 5 changes in the files. And now there are 4 to 5 files on the notebook, 4 to 5 files in Dropbox, some emails, but nothing is on the server in the bank because they are not able to get it there. And when someone says in 3 or 6 months, hey, we made this brochure about this insurance, then tell me where it is. So the whole office world changed from a huge network where the left one knows what the right one does, and the left one knows where to find information, who the right one changed or made, to islands. Everybody is an island now, and everybody stores his files and his information on different places. So how do we get those islands connected? Let's see. I give you an example. We have 3 people, 3 employees from a company. Verona Funk, Gerd Baum, and Sandra Renz. And Verona Funk had an idea last week. She said, wouldn't it be a good idea when we made a series about webinars, how we work in our home office? And she called her colleague Gerd Baum. And Gerd Baum said, oh, well, yes, that's a really good idea. That's cool. But we need Sandra because Sandra is responsible for the webinars and she can help us with the organization. In a normal way, when they all sit in the home office, it would work like this. There are some emails which are sent and received. There are some files which are created and lie on the notebooks, and the larger files, which they can't share via email, lie in the Dropbox. So there are 40 files on 7 different locations. And when Gerd Baum says in 3 months, the webinar series was cool, where do I find the last PowerPoint presentation? He won't be able to find it because he doesn't have it. Because the PowerPoint presentation lies in the Dropbox account from Verona Funk, but she has forgotten that it's there, and so the presentation is never found. How to prevent this? This I'll show you now. So, as I said, we have 3 different employees. I am sitting in the home office. I have to play all of them because my colleagues are not here. So I'll show you how they work. The 3 people, the first one, Gerd Baum, accesses his repository via the ELO web client because he loves it. It's light, it's you can open it in the browser. It's fast, and he's used to it. He works with it every day. On the other hand, Verona Funk works with the desktop client because she normally works with Microsoft Office. She makes many Word documents. She makes the presentations for the webinars and so on. And she is used to it because she can save her files directly to the repository. And the third one is Sandra Rentz. She uses the ELO Rich Client. And Sandra Rentz, she's responsible for the organization for the webinar series about working from home. She made some folders. She made a structure, this one, where the others can save the files. So there are some emails inside. There are the 4 events. There can be posts in it, but there aren't. And there should the presentations be. So she said to her colleagues, look, I made a structure. I made some files, and please save all the information that you create, all the files you create, in the proper locations. Gerd Baum, when he looked to the files and the folders, he said, it would be cool when we made a checklist inside, because we shall not forget something. So he made a new checklist. He named it, how is it called? Tips for working from home. And in the checklist, he could add some entries. So the first entry, set dates. The second entry is create a concept. And the third one is PowerPoint presentation. So he made this checklist, and he said to his colleagues, they had a meeting via Microsoft Teams, and he said, please use the checklist when you have set the dates, for instance, then please check this. The checklist, it's not like the usual tasks when you use your workflow or something. It's just for getting an overview what is done already and what has to be done. So there happens that does nothing happen when you click on the checkbox, except of the system saves who clicked the checkbox. So he made the checkbox. He told the others to use it and to save the files in there. So in the next step, Verona Funk, who uses the desktop client, started to write the concept. No, started to write a post. And because she's very fast in writing posts and very creative, she did it in seconds. And when she was finished, she saved it to the repository via the desktop client. I've been too fast. She took desktop. Desktop said, okay, there's Microsoft Word, and she has only one choice: save it in ELO. So she selects the right location, clicks OK, and then she names it and says blog post number 1. And so she saved her file in ELO. The PowerPoint presentation she has prepared already. She has saved it local to her hard disk. And when she wanted to save it to ELO, she did it with, or she does it with drag and drop. So she selects the right location, and there it is. Sandra Renz, who accesses the repository via the rich client, had a Teams meeting with Verona Funk, and she said, "Oh, I've looked into the PowerPoint presentation, and I have some parts that we should change." So in the oh, sorry. So she checked it out. She made some changes. She changed the first slide. She deleted the other slides. She deleted as well. And then she was finished. She saves it and she checks it in again. And as the two knew that Gerd Baum wasn't available on this day because he was, I think, yodeling in the mountains or something, they said, okay, we should send it to him via email because he asked us when we change something, we should inform him. And so Sandra Renz, sent the PowerPoint presentation to Gerd Baum, but she didn't send the PowerPoint presentation. She sent it to him via a link. And when you look at the link, it's only 4 kilobytes in size. The PowerPoint presentation itself has, I think, 4 megabytes. And so she saved space, but she sent an email to him and informed him that they have worked over the PowerPoint presentation. So, and Sandra Renz thought, okay, let's see what to do in the checklist. Okay, we have set the dates, we have created a concept, we have made a PowerPoint presentation, but there's one thing missing. We should send some invitations. So she has checked 2 boxes here, and she added a new entry. But the checklist was made by Gerd Baum, but they can work together on the same object. So Gerd Baum has finished yodeling in the mountains and is back in his home office, and he got an email. That's the final version of the PowerPoint presentation. And he looked at it and said, yes, it's okay. And they made the web seminar series. 3 months later, Gerd Baum thought, okay, we made a webinar series 3 months ago. It's called, I don't know how it's called. Let's go to our ELO and search for it. So he opened his ELO, got to his search, webinar, and there he found the webinar series. And when he clicks on go to, he finds all the documents, all the correspondence in there. So when 3 people work together and fill the structure, the 40 files which we saw before, 21 emails, 10 files or something, they aren't stored on 7 different locations. They are all stored in one location, and you can find them in 3 months, in 6 months, in 2 years or something, and it's accessible for everybody. So we have when we use ELO as an information platform, and that's what we do in times like these when everybody sits in his home office, you have many advantages. The first one, all information you will find in one place. Everybody knows where to search. You don't have to search in your emails on your local hard drive or in Dropbox or something. You search and you find it in ELO. The saving files to ELO is as easy as using as a Dropbox or something. You have only 2 clicks, 3 clicks, and your files are safe in your repository in one place. The search is very simple. You don't find you don't only find your files by name. You find it some when the white word is in full text. What you saw here were standard functions. We didn't use some additional modules. We only used ELO Professional and the web server. The web server, you need to access your repository via the web client. You don't need some other ways to exchange your files. You don't need Dropbox, you don't need Google Drive, or you don't or OneDrive. You only need ELO, and the information isn't stored somewhere in the cloud in Redmond or somewhere. It's stored on your location, and you're able to see who did when what. So you can track who changed the files and the informations which are stored in your ELO. As I said, we use it from our home office. We saw that we have to change some processes that the people have to save the files and informations in our ELO, but after 2 or 3 days, it worked really fine, and everybody knows what to do. And then we started to use our workflow engine and our document feed and our knowledge management, that we could share more information besides the whole documents. But this I'll show you next week. Well, that's it. I say thanks for your attention, and now let's have a look if we have any questions. Oh, this is really small. Hi, are you working on a Teams integration so we can share reference files from ELO? Actually not. We are not working on a Teams integration, but a business partner is working on a Teams integration, and I phoned him yesterday, and he said, it's easy. Okay. And I said, how do you do it? And he said, Teams has an API, so I can use it, but I don't know how far the progress is. But he said it's easy. But he always says it's easy. So let's have a look. And when we have a Teams integration, it should work like you use your rich client and you send a link not via email but via Teams or something. That's the first step that we want, so that you can easily share your documents with others. Oh, okay. Teams integration is planned in ELO Team Room. Thank you. What is the name of the business partner? I think it was the Trescon. I think it was Thomas Körbler. Okay, are there some more questions? I get it, thanks. Welcome. So when there are no more questions, I want to invite you next week. I think it's on Friday, but at 9 o'clock, I think, when we talk about collaboration in ELO, where I'll show you how we work with the document feed, how we work with our workflows. We didn't have to use workflows or so many workflows in the past because we're 10 people and we're on one location. But now we are forced to use our workflows. And this I'll show you next week.
So now we're at the end of the webinar. Thank you, Etja, for your presentation, and thanks you all for taking part in this webinar and your attending. Have a nice day and goodbye.